welcome back to another episode of the Karter Cast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. With me, as always, Dylan, Connor. The college football playoff is set. Dylan?
Not just me. Number one. Michigan's number one.
Oh, nice. Michigan is number one. There we go. That's how we're starting off the show. Great intro. There we go. College football playoff is set. NFL Week 13 recap. We'll get into that. Niners destroy the Eagles. We have some victory laps to take, but first, I'll do my apology tour real quick. I said Oregon was going to beat Washington. That one wasn't as bad, like close game, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't say Oregon was going to cover by any means. I said Washington was going to cover, but I said Oregon was going to win. Bad job by me. SEC title game. That's where things went a little crazy. I said Georgia by double digits. Got proven wrong. Carson Beck, not that guy. I don't know. That was pitiful by Georgia. I mean, they just got outplayed, outbullied, just defeated on every level of the trenches. And I think Jalen Milroe just made the plays when it mattered most, and I got proven wrong.
Did they get outplayed, though? Like, we're a missed field goal away there from overtime. I mean, I didn't look at the box score or anything, but, you know, you add the context of the missed field goal, it really was a very close game that I feel like you play that game 100 times, each team's winning 50.
But when you're watching, I think that's fair, but also I think when you're watching that game, you're like, it doesn't feel like Georgia has it today. The whole time, it felt like Georgia's not quite going to reach that level, almost like Michigan, Penn State. We use that example all the time, but it felt like that. So, bad job by me. Let's take a quick victory lap. NFL Parlay Cash.
Let's go.
Boise State, Mountain West champs, called that.
Boom.
Dylan, SMU, 5-star.
Outright.
I'll take my apology tour also. App State.
Not
a great call
see
by
how
me.
Anti-Dylan this is, Connor? He's trying to step on your victory lap.
Outright. No, it's okay. This is Connor's show. I'm seat 3. That's what you go, Connor. I get snubbed for college basketball in the NBA. I get seat 3.
I was just trying to, I tailed SMU. Game of the year, outright. I had units on that. I'd like to apologize to the viewers for App State. Our guy, Matt Powell, should have cashed out with the parlay. Didn't know App State was going to get trounced in the second half like that.
The funniest part was Dylan and I texted each other and said, yeah, we're like, nah, he's got to let it ride. And Connor, the one with the 5 stars, like, yeah, you should probably cash it out.
Well, I could feel it in my bones. I was like, something's about to happen. I was like, I'm living on a dream right now. App State didn't come through. So, apology tours all around. We got it wrong.
Yeah, there we go. Dylan, what?
I feel bad. Matt called me and he was like, what do I do? I totally forgot about the parlay. And he's like, well, you're the math guy. And they were offering like $150 cash out. And I can't remember what the winnings was. I mean, it'd be 6-1, right?
I mean, like plus 200. Yeah. So it was going to be like, it was plus 600. They would have offered 2-1.
So it was like, I was like, dude, honestly, if you think it's like a free $50 that you just didn't have, then I would let it ride. But if you need $150, like cash it out. And
conference championship weekend, Florida State wins, all that. We get the college football playoff. Let's get into it. This has been the story all weekend, all week. Let's be honest. We said this before the show started. This is going to die down by Thursday because it takes 10 years for these games to be played. We're not playing until 2024. So, I know. Isn't that crazy? 2024, that's when we're playing. Anyhow, we know the college football playoff is Michigan versus Bama, Washington versus Texas, FSU snubbed. Dylan, I'll let you start. I'll ask this question to lead you. Was it right for FSU to get snubbed?
I want to start going off topic because your comment about 2024 kind of irked me a little bit. That is why the MLB season is the best, because there is no crossing of seasons. I had a conversation on Twitter with one of my former professors at Ohio State, and he had mentioned something about the 21-22 college football playoff championship, and I Google searched 2021 college football playoff championship, and it gave me 2020 because 2021, the championship was played in 2021. So that is why baseball is the best season, because there is no crossing of calendars. There is no flipping of the, give me MLB. But anyway, what was the question again?
Was it right for FSU to be snubbed for the college football playoff?
Was it right? I think the committee made the right decision. And I know Connor disagrees, but Kirk Herbstreit, what really gets me is the people saying that there's collusion or whatever. And we briefly talked about it, like family members saying, oh, they're always going to find a way to put Alabama in. They always do it. Yeah, ESPN, SEC bias. And it's like, well, you look at Alabama, and obviously you have the Florida State Jordan Travis thing, and that's huge. And Brandon Walker, very rarely do I say this. Brandon Walker put this the best way. The Florida State team that they are trying to determine if they have a spot in the playoff, that Florida State team is 2.5-0. They're not 13-0. They're a completely different team. And you could, I have College Football Reference pulled up here. You look at pass attempts from North Alabama on. So, 24, 18, 15, 21, 18, 25. You get to Florida, 12. You get to Louisville, 8. So you can make any comment.
That's a terrible.
So inform me.
JJ.
I have a rebuttal.
Threw 8 times against Penn State.
Carter, I have a stat for this, Carter.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me the stat. Yeah.
Since Travis got hurt in week 12, the game you're talking about, Dylan, Florida State only 8 fewer passing yards than Michigan since that time.
That's fair. Now here's okay.
What now?
There's a change. The change I'm explaining to you is before Jordan Travis got injured, they were passing the ball more. He gets injured, they have to change the way they play the game completely. The difference is Michigan has played the football they've played all year. Nothing has changed, and we have dominated teams. There's not one game this year that was close. Not one. And Florida State has to change everything once this guy gets injured. That's the difference. This is a completely different team than from 3 weeks ago. The backup quarterback had to play a Florida without their starting quarterback, and they had to play a Louisville team. What are we doing here? It stinks for Florida State fans.
We're basing all this off Jordan Travis, which is the most integral part of the team. There's 10 other guys on that offense. There's a whole other roster of people. That defense has been playing very well. The coaching staff's still there. You can't tell me that they get to do that just based on one guy getting injured. What if he would have gotten hurt in the ACC title game? Would they have kicked him out then? No, because they wouldn't have seen him play. What if he would have gotten hurt 4 or 5 weeks earlier than he did and they stayed undefeated? They probably wouldn't have kicked him out. Just because he got hurt right then, and then, okay, Tate Rodmaker didn't play in the championship, that's what the quarterback would have been in the playoff. It wouldn't have been this third-string freshman quarterback playing in his first game ever, which they still beat Louisville, who's a quality team.
So let's say he does get injured in week 6, and they have to go. They play Duke. Let's say Duke. Riley Leonard stays healthy. Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, Miami, who was ranked at the time. North Alabama. Don't know why you're scheduling an FCS school in week 10. At Florida and Louisville with a backup quarterback, and they win all of those games convincingly. I have no problem leaving Florida State in at that point. It's like Ohio State that one year where they had Braxton Miller and they went to Cardale Jones and JT Barrett. It's not the same situation, though, as what Florida State's going through because Ohio State handled their business all year. They didn't just squeak by these teams. They didn't change their game plan. They won the games the same way they were. What?
But the issue is Cardale Jones didn't play until the Michigan game. And he only played a game and a half, which is fairly similar to what Florida State did because he played the Big Ten title game and then the rest of the Michigan game when JT Barrett got hurt, correct?
Yes, in which...
So it is fairly similar.
What you'll have to remind me, what year is that? Was that 16?
14.
Right? 14. I think 14.
14, so Michigan probably wouldn't have been that good.
No. 15? I don't know. It's one of those years.
One of those three. One of those three.
14.
I mean, I get what you're saying there, but there's an obvious change in how Florida State attacked the game once Jordan Travis got out. They relied more on the run. They just completely abandoned passing the ball, which I can't blame Florida State for that. You took a severe downgrade at quarterback. Now, we want to talk most deserving, right? So Michigan and Washington obviously are the top two. Which way you could make a serious case for Washington at 1, to be completely honest. I think I tweeted that out. But
yes, you can.
3 and 4, you have Texas and Alabama. Texas, it amazes me how much they want to stick to this head-to-head thing. Like that seems to be almost the end-all be-all when it comes to this because they kept Texas.
It should be.
I don't know if it necessarily.
Why should the head-to-head not be it? You beat the team at their place.
Well,
that literally proves you are better than that team. That's like saying,
okay.
Oh, but Ohio State, they beat Notre Dame at South Bend. Michigan didn't this year yet. So therefore, I know Ohio State lost to Michigan, but their other wins might be better than Michigan. That's the dumbest argument in the world.
You know good and well teams can win football games and not be better than the other team. Heck, the Panthers have a win this year. The Panthers have a win.
But Dylan, they beat that team head to head. That's the name of the game.
You have to go off that. There has to be some kind of guidelines.
But when Alabama,
it can't just be all subjective.
It's not subjective. Alabama beat the number 1 team in the country. Texas is not beating Georgia.
But they beat Alabama. That's all that matters.
But they beat
Texas
Alabama.
didn't play Georgia.
And that's where we're going to disagree. To me, it doesn't matter that much, right? And when you play that game as many times, and I'm going to go on the record, I don't think that there should be a committee deciding this. I say you walk your butt to Las Vegas, you go plop in Circus Sportsbook, you talk to Jeff Benson and say, hey, who are the 4 best teams in college football? Put them in the championship. This college football championship, Texas should not be involved. Washington shouldn't be involved. It should be Michigan. It should be Alabama. It should be Georgia. It should be Ohio State if we want the 4 best teams.
Oh my gosh.
If we want the 4 best teams.
For somebody that loves numbers and stats as much as you do, I can't believe you're just going based off subjective eye test. Like you're the
This isn't an eye test. Those 4 teams are favored. Those 4 teams are favored against everybody else. Ohio State is favored against Washington on a neutral field.
Then why have other teams playing?
Because that's the 4 best teams. That should be the goal.
Dylan.
According to
Dylan, wouldn't you say if you went to Vegas, they would say, "Oh, Georgia's favored against Bama, right?" But Bama beat Georgia, so that should not matter. The spread should not matter.
Okay.
A lot of people said Oregon is better than Washington. Guess what Washington did? They went in
They
as
beat
a
'em.
9-point dog and won that game outright. So that should not matter. The spread should be completely irrelevant. Win the game.
It's not.
You should not be punished. You should not be punished based off what Vegas thinks about you on the eye test. If you win the game, you deserve to be in it.
It's not an eye test. It's not about the spread. It's just about who would be favored on a neutral field. I don't care if it's by 10 or whatever.
It literally is that's literally the spread. That's what you're saying.
But I'm not saying that it matters how much you're favored by. I'm saying who would be favored based on what we saw. So you use the example of Oregon and Washington. We saw Washington beat Oregon early on in the season by 3 in Washington. We fast forward to a neutral site. Oregon's favored 10 points. Why is that, right? And you can say Washington wins again, and that adds another piece to this. Okay, we have another piece of information and another addition to the sample size. The next time Washington and Oregon play, let's say they were to play again this year, what would it be? I still don't think Washington's favored. I don't care how many times they beat them by 3.
Because Washington won the game.
To me,
it does not matter what the spread is.
To me, I don't.
Why play the games? Why not just before the season starts, you go, hey, you know what? I think the top 4 teams that are favored, let's just put them in the playoff and let's just have these teams play bowl games. What's the point of playing the season at that point?
Because every single game you play adds a data point. Whether you win or you lose, it adds a data point. And you want to keep going, the best team wins, the best team wins. We know that's not true. You could make a serious case.
But that doesn't matter. Because guess what? We see all the time in sports. The best team doesn't win the title, but they won the game. And that means you're champions. That's how it should be. You win the game, you're in. It should not be, oh, they're more talented. That's literally like saying the 2019 Duke Zion team, they're like, you know what? They're more talented and more fun to watch than this Michigan State team. Screw that. Let's just put them in the Final Four. That's literally what you're saying.
You can say that when it comes to the point of win and move on, win or be eliminated, then at that point the best team moves on. But when we're taking a criteria and we're judging these teams based on their body of work for the season and how they looked and how good they are, I don't want Washington involved in this. Let's think of Liberty. What if they just said, "Oh, Liberty's 13-0, they won their conference." Why not throw them in there?
But Liberty didn't play against Power 5 teams. Teams like Florida State.
Context
SEC teams.
Context is the key here. And the context we're missing from Florida State is that they're missing their star quarterback that made them the team. Now, you can make the argument maybe Jordan Travis should win Heisman if he meant this much to the team. As a Jordan Travis Heisman ticket holder, I'd be okay with that.
Let me give you this predicament then, Dylan. Let's say Ohio State, they have a star quarterback, and let's say he's hurt for the first 4 games, and they have 4 losses. All of a sudden, he comes back, they're dynamite. They win 8 in a row. They would be favored on a neutral field, but they have 4 losses. They still make the playoff at that point, even though they would be favored on a neutral field?
The College Football Committee has gone on record and said that they will take the team at the time of the decision being made and if the availability for college football. They said that with Brock Bowers in Georgia. They said that with Jim Harbaugh being suspended in Michigan. They said that is a piece of them considering. So if I'm not against that, right? Let's say last year CJ Stroud missed the first 4 games, or 2021. Say he missed the first 4 games and they lost to Oregon. They should have lost to Minnesota. So let's say they have 2 losses. They go out, they beat Michigan, and CJ Stroud comes back and lights it up. You have to take the team for what it's worth at the time of the decision being made. I understand winning games is important. You can play what's on your schedule. We also are omitting the fact that Florida State's best win was Alabama's 3rd. Beating LSU, that was Alabama's third best win. And we're going to make a case because they play in the ACC and they win out.
Wait. Time out. What was Alabama's second best win? Going to need to know this.
I'm blanking. You give me a second. I wrote it down because
Auburn.
I literally wrote down.
Auburn, Arkansas, Texas A&M.
Give me a second. You're yelling at me. Give me a second.
St. Mary's School of the Blind.
I literally wrote it down because I wanted
Texas?
to have everything like.
Yeah, that's their second best game is a loss to Texas.
Chattanooga.
Don't tell me that.
Once we get this, I got to go on a little tangent about Florida State. I've been saving it up.
Give me a second.
I will say before Dylan gets that stat, I do want to get this out there. Now, I want it known that I think Florida State is the most deserving team and should be in the playoff. But what I want to watch, I'd rather see Bama in.
I completely agree.
And that's just what it is.
From an unbiased, neutral college football fan perspective, these 3 games, including the championship, is going to be competitive. It's going to be competitive. Is what I want to watch.
Who runs college football? ESPN. What's the first letter of that E in ESPN?
Entertainment. I know it all too well. I was run by the mouse.
There you go. Dylan, go ahead.
I agree. I mean, I agree with that. Florida State is the most deserving. I don't think that this should be about the most deserving.
Saying.
I don't think that this should be about the most deserving. I don't even think Florida State's the most deserving now that I think about it. Alabama's best win, obviously Georgia, right? Alabama's second best win, Ole Miss. Third best win, LSU. And then that LSU is Florida State's best win.
But, I mean, in all fairness, Florida State didn't have to play them. They scheduled them, and then they whipped them. They're not in the ACC.
Murdered LSU.
That's fair, but they scheduled these games how far in advance?
Okay,
how do you know LSU is going to be good?
Okay, you schedule the games in advance, or whatever. But like Michigan didn't schedule a Power 5 team, so that's the other thing.
Didn't schedule an FCS one either.
But you didn't schedule a Power 5 team
or an FCS one. I'll go downstairs and get the ping pong paddle out, Karter. We can go back and forth for an hour.
No. You couldn't schedule Wake Forest. Wake Forest probably would have beat Michigan this year. We just don't know.
Or App.
SMU. I do not want to play SMU.
You probably wouldn't have beat BYU.
Can I make the case for Florida State?
Please do.
Go ahead.
And just take this with this is my case, Dylan. I want to preface this by saying, like Karter said, as far as like an unbiased football fan, these 4 teams is going to be competitive games. It's going to be close. It's going to be exciting, and I'm excited to watch these games. I'm not saying Florida State would have been better for the actual football product, but they earned it, and the committee got it wrong. They didn't put in the 4 most deserving. They didn't put in the 4 best teams, because if they put the 4 best in, Georgia's there.
That's true.
Bottom line. So if that was their thing, why is the criteria not laid out more clearly? I would have a better time swallowing this. The committee would come out and say, hey, we're not going to value records as much. This strength of record, this 13-0 Power 5 conference champion, we're not putting that on the same level as, a subjective eye test or like who would be favored on a neutral field. If they would be honest about that, I could swallow this. But all year it was, if you're undefeated conference champion, Power 5, they've never left them out before. There's no precedent for this, blah, blah, blah. If this wasn't the last year of a 14 playoff, this wouldn't have happened because they wouldn't have had to face the repercussions of it. It wouldn't have come back to bite them in the ass in 2 or 3 years whenever this issue would come up again. They can get off scotch-free now by letting these guys out of the playoffs at 13-0. I think it's complete bullshit. ACC is a Power 5 conference. And so they're basically saying the SEC's got a birthright. They're the golden child. They get in no matter what. Saban and Bama, they weren't even surprised. When they showed their reaction, they were not even surprised they got in. It was like a slow clap, like a head nod, like, we know this. We knew this was going to happen.
It's like the evil. It's like Mr. Burns, just like, excellent.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Bill.
He's got those boys well tuned. That's what Saban does down there. It's not about the flash. It's not about the celebration. It's, survive in advance.
Yeah. I just can't believe they left them out. We're not talking about Liberty. We're not talking about UCF or a mid-major undefeated team or whatever the hell. This is an undefeated Power 5 team who lost their quarterback, yes. Yeah. But what else could they have done? Like, hey, Florida State, win all these games, but you have to win them convincingly enough. Well, Mr. Committee, how convincingly enough? Well, we don't have an answer for you. We'll just have to see what happens. It's complete. There's no precedent for it, and it makes no sense to me as a fan of the game. If this was Carolina and they went 12-0 and ran the table, or 13-0 and won the ACC title, and then Drake May got hurt and they didn't make it, I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind.
I'm not going to argue that with you. If this was Michigan and it was JJ McCarthy, I would be irate right now. I would be irate. But when you talk about going to the committee and being like, okay, what do we need to do? Do we need to win these games convincingly? How convincingly? You have to show you have some semblance of a passing game. I mean, there are 2 games this year. Florida State has had a completion percentage under 50%. I'll let you guess what 2 of those are, right? There are 2 games this year they've had it under 200 passing yards. I'll let you guess what 2 games those are. You can't argue this isn't a different team.
No, I'm not trying to argue that, but that third-string freshman quarterback, he's not going to be the one trotting out there for the Sugar Bowl. That's not going to be him. It's going to be Tate Rodmaker, whose first game wasn't all that great, but he's you know how many teams have won their national title without their week 1 starting quarterback? 2014 Ohio State, 2017 Bama, 2018 Clemson, 2021 Georgia. That's 44% of the year since college football playoffs have been introduced.
2017 Alabama, you had 2 first-round draft picks. So 3 first-round draft picks.
What if Rodmaker plays next year and he's a first-round pick? Then we have the same conversation.
Then we will revisit this, and I will do anything you ask me to if Rodmaker's a first-round draft pick. Anything.
Well,
I'll do anything.
I'm not saying that.
Clip it.
Put it in the archives.
Oh, man. I can't, like the 14 playoff, it's literally designed to keep out a Power 5 champion, and I get it. But for a Power 5 champion to be undefeated and not get in, I'm just wondering when ACC football went so downhill to where it's not on the same level as all these other ones. Not even close.
Oh, no.
Because once Clemson fell off a cliff, it seems like the ACC became irrelevant. It's like, oh, you're in the ACC, so that's a knock against you. That's a knock on your resume. I just can't get behind the fact that the committee is so subjective and so vague in their guidelines that all of a sudden they're like, we think Alabama's better at this point, which they are a better team, but Florida State earned it, and I cannot accept that they didn't get in. And it really comes down to, we can't leave the SEC out, but Texas beat them head-to-head, which they love, so that means Texas had to be in, which means Florida State got screwed. And I can't accept it. Karter, I don't know which side you're on, but it honestly is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous.
I want to jump in here again real quick. I do want to say about the ACC, it goes downhill when your conference leader loses to the bottom dweller, and then you have some no-name podcast who has 2 guys say, Virginia might beat North Carolina, and we call it perfectly, and we make so much money. That's when the ACC goes down. But to bring this to a mending point, right? We disagree. I think Florida State should be left out. You think they should have their spot. To bring this to a mending point, I do think that you're right about this whole committee thing and it being so subjective, and no one really knows how they go about selecting these teams.
They do it on purpose. They keep it vague on purpose.
Well, of course, because if they had a concrete criteria, there would be no need for them. It would just be a computer. We'd use FPI.
They couldn't sneak in Alabama. Yeah, I used that word. They couldn't sneak in Alabama to the playoffs.
I don't know. I don't know if I.
They snuck in. They
didn't.
If you get into the playoff from a 4th and 31 on 4th and goal in a rivalry game, the last game of the season, and you score on that play, that's sneaking in the playoff.
Beating the best team in the country in your conference championship game is not sneaking in. That is winning the biggest game imaginable.
But what did they tell the?
I know. But how are you saying sneaking in? Because I'm saying sneaking in is like barely making it in. Which
I guess I was considering falling back into it. Like they fell in. Yeah, maybe I was wrong there. But
I just can't get past what they used to tell the Pac-12 all the time. When the Pac-12 would cannibalize itself, it was like, well, you beat yourself. Your top 2 teams beat yourself, and you're not getting in now. That's what happened to the SEC. Bama beat Georgia. They both had 1 loss. Why didn't they get the same treatment of you cannibalize yourself? Texas has a head-to-head win.
This is a down year from the SEC as well.
If there was ever a year for the SEC to miss the playoff, it's this year. The ACC had a 6-4 head-to-head record against the SEC this year.
No, I don't vibe with that. I don't vibe with that. What teams were playing each other? Because I had some guy try and tell me
we're talking conferences.
Well, I had some guy tell me Pac-12 is better than Big Ten, and he tried to cite Washington beating Michigan State. I'm like, come on, are we serious right now?
Pac-12 is better than Big Ten. It's true.
I just can't.
We might find out.
Dylan, let me give you this. Let me give you this as a scenario, Dylan. If Blake Corum or McCarthy gets hurt, nobody bats an eye. Michigan's still a top 2 seed. Why is this any different? Like, I know it's the quarterback and we've seen it, but how would that be any different?
What are you talking about?
If McCarthy
would have gotten hurt against Iowa and, Michigan wins that game 17-0, whatever, but everyone would have been like, oh, Michigan right there, number 1.
Nobody would have batted an eye.
Sure. No, and I think that's a testament to like the style of football Michigan plays and the fact that JJ McCarthy doesn't get it. Like he doesn't.
You can't say that when Florida State does the same thing where they have an elite defense and still run the ball and win the game.
They don't do the same thing though because they drastically change how they approach the game. It was very evident that this was a completely different team without Jordan Travis. Michigan, we actually saw Blake Corum go out last year. Remember, he didn't play against Ohio State and he got injured against Illinois, and we still took care of our business, right? So, and you want to go JJ
Yeah.
McCarthy, you could plug in Orgy, and really he gets it done with his legs. He doesn't need to be a stellar passer.
Got him. You're done. You're done. Yeah,
But
you're
that's
done.
what it is.
Over.
It's a different Florida State. You can look at the game logs and you can see how drastically their game plan changed once Jordan Travis got out. You can say it doesn't matter, but they're a different team. They're 2.5-0.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and like, but when you're deciding that, you're really getting into the weeds of like, oh,
Sure.
we think this, we think that, and I just can't accept. Bottom line is, I can't accept this. If the committee knows so much like this, and they're like, oh, we in our hearts know this team is better than this team, and we're not going to care about the records, we're not going to care about Power 5 championships, whatever. Why even have a playoff? Why wouldn't they just be like, all right, conference championships are over. We think Michigan's the best team. You're national champions. Let's save us all some time, because
That's what they did. That's
it
how
is what they
BYU's
did.
a national champion.
I don't know. I can't get behind it. I really, in my heart, think Florida State got screwed. And would they have been
Sure.
14 to 17 point underdogs in any game? Yes, they would have. But they earned the right to be there. And you see it, basketball's not the same, but you see a lot of Cinderella stories in basketball where it's like, oh, we never thought this team would win. We never thought SF Austin would upset Duke or App would upset Michigan in football. Nobody ever thought that. It's 2 football games. Dylan's favorite phrase in the NFL is, they're all professionals. They're all lacing them up the same way. Well, these are college kids, but they've been playing all year. It's 2 games. You're telling me miracles can't happen? Like, I don't think that it was set in stone Florida State was going to get mollywopped by most of these teams. Probably, yes. We've seen crazier things, and they deserve a chance to be there.
Last year, like Georgia, decent favorite against Ohio State. That came down to a last-second field goal. But the other thing is, we saw TCU win last year. They won a game.
Asterisk.
Stop. Shut up. Nope.
Asterisk.
Shut up.
Ryan Day sold our signs to TCU. Sonny Dykes.
Like, you can't use TCU as the argument in this because they won a game. They won a game. It does not matter. Yes, they got murdered in the college football title game, but they won their semifinal game.
Right.
Cincinnati is the more right answer if you're saying Florida State shouldn't have been in. But, I mean, I agree with Connor. I think they should have been in, but also at the end of the day, it is entertainment. We've seen this.
Yeah.
We know who's running college football. I hate when I watch College Game Day and they go on like, oh, it's so sad what's happening to the Pac-12. Like, such a shame. It's like, you're the one doing it.
They got what they wanted.
You're the one making this happen. You're the one killing the Pac-12. You're the one killing these traditions in college football. And you're like, oh, it's so sad everything's doing it. Like, oh, I'm like, you're the one doing it. That's literally like cheating on someone. And then they're like, oh, man, that really sucks that I cheated. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, this is asinine. I hate that.
Yeah.
Screw ESPN for all that crap. And that's just what it is. Yeah. Like the SEC, they're going to put in. It's like in the NBA. You have a player that's making $30 million, and you have a player that's making $10 million. They're making, they're having around the same stats, maybe around the same averages and stuff. But the player that's making $30 million is going to get in the game more than the one that's making $10 million because of that contract.
I got one more point on this before we move on. Shout out 24/7 Sports, our guy Adam Stanko, friend of the show. They had a transfer portal Palooza show today. Deion Sanders came on. They asked him about this. He said, and I quote, "There's no way you're leaving Coach Saban and Alabama out of the playoff." In my eyes, that's the whole problem because it's Bama, it's Saban. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at the history of the program, a powerhouse that's typically there all the time. I thought it was supposed to be blind resumes. That's what it should be. If you're talking about resume, strength of schedule, all this stuff, if that's how you want to break down the criteria, you can't take into account. Because if that was the case, Georgia just won the last 2 titles. They've lost 1 game in 3 years. Why can't they come and defend their title if we're talking about that? Why don't they deserve to be there? I just don't agree with it. And if you're looking at the numbers real quick, Karter, Florida State beat a top 15 team in Louisville with a 3rd-string freshman quarterback, never trailed, held a top 20 offense of 6 points, 13-0, Power 5 champ, 4 top 25 wins. I know Jordan Travis is out, but if you're looking at the resumes like they love to do, that's a pretty damn good resume.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't have really done better. It's just the injury aspect of it. And I like the point you made up there was, can the Georgia fans shut the hell up? It's not. Guess what, guys? It's not 2022.
Nope.
It's not 2021. Nope. You lost your play-in game to get into the playoff. That's it. And the other thing about Georgia is you don't have an impressive win. Missouri, okay, you beat Missouri. But guess what? You didn't beat the Bamas. You didn't beat another college football playoff caliber team like Texas did, like Michigan did against Ohio State, like Washington twice against Oregon. You didn't do it. The fact that people are saying Georgia should be in
because
they're using the best team argument, That was ridiculous. Georgia fans, hey, you got to take this one on the chin. Sometimes you lose somebody, and guess what? You won 2 titles. Be quiet now. You can't take the winning streak into account.
That's true.
You can't take last year into account.
You can't. It is strictly a this year thing. I want to add on to what Connor said about Dion. First of all, shout out 24/7 Sports because I watched some of that transfer-a-thon, or what was it called? Transfer Portal Mania.
Transfer Portal
Palooza. That's what it was. It was very interesting. I didn't get to see the Dion part. Dion kind of pushing a narrative here that he'll probably benefit from in the next 5 years or so. So I don't take
1,000%.
I don't take that for anything. I take that with a grain of salt. But I do. It is interesting you bring up Georgia, right? Because I think if they drop this game any other week than the one right before college football playoff, they don't drop as far as they did. And that just goes to show how drastic the changes are that happened this week in the ratings, because it is top 4 get in, the rest are out. So it's not
right.
It's not like a true rating system. It's just who are the 4 that deserve to be in the playoffs, and the rest don't really matter. Yeah. Another thing, why did you put Florida State at 5? Like I would say you put Georgia at 5. I think that was kind of a ploy for
if that's the route they're going to go, double down on it and put them at 6. You got to like be confident in that. If you're going the route of like they're not a good team, put them at 6.
Yeah,
I agree.
And then
I agree with that.
And then there was one more point I wanted to make, and it is escaping my mind. We were talking about college football playoff rating system. Oh shoot!
If you remember, bring it back up.
Okay.
I've got last thing. If Georgia mollywops Florida State in the Orange Bowl, I don't think it matters. I don't think it's like, oh, we did the right thing by leaving Florida State out. That doesn't matter. There's going to be opt-outs. It's a whole different level and playing field than the college football playoff. It's different. It's 100% different. You can't put any stock into that Orange Bowl game because you're not playing for a championship. You're not playing for a championship.
I don't know if there's going to be opt-outs on Florida State's part. I really don't. I think they
should just decline the invite. They should just be like, screw it. We're not going.
See, don't even get me started on that. I saw some guy say, oh, what Florida State should do is take all the benefits and take the money and give the kids vacation, then walk out onto the field and just not play. Yeah, they're going to be real thrilled to do any business with you or the ACC moving forward. So yeah, maybe we do that and see what TV deals you get if you sit out a game. But what I was going to say, the one problem I have with the committee making this decision, why do it this week when you could have kept Florida State out of the top 4 last week? Like you could have just sat them to the side and you could have said, well, you lost your quarterback. You're not really in this conversation right now.
Right, exactly. They gave him false hope.
That's true.
It's like, okay, we won and we were in the top 4. Why we dropped for winning?
Yeah.
That's facts.
That's the overarching thing we keep saying is that there's just no consistency to this whole thing. It's all a joke because college football people in leadership are stupid.
So, and if this wasn't the last year of the 14 playoff, they wouldn't have done this. If there was 40 years left, if there was 5 years left, they wouldn't have done this. They would not have made this decision. Florida State would still be in. But because they're not going to receive any backlash, because this precedent's not going to come back to bite them in the ass in the future, they're able to get away with it scotch-free, and nothing's going to happen because, praise the Lord, there's a 12-team playoff next year, so all this is forgotten. I think it's slimy and gross, and I hate the committee for doing this. I hate it. It's ridiculous.
I'll reach out my olive branch. It's going to be a fun playoff. I mean, this is going to be a blast.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a blast.
All of this aside, I think it's going to be awesome.
That's what I want to get into is, Dylan, like, we'll get into this briefly because we got some NFL to cover. Dylan, we saw the video. Michigan.
Not good.
Looked a little frightened.
Not good.
They were not pumped about getting Alabama in that first game. As Michigan men here, trust tree, how are we feeling?
Well, I expect Michigan men are we love justice, we love fairness, and I can only imagine that these men were so upset to see Florida State just wrongly get excluded from the college football playoff. So I think that they're heartbroken for the Noles, and that's really the only thing I can explain from that video that I saw, because they were dejected, devastated, heartbroken, and that's what Michigan men are.
That's why,
right? We have a big heart.
Or are they scared?
Scared of what?
Alabama.
No.
Big bad SEC. Nick Saban, the Grim Reaper, coming to town.
Looked a little nervous. Looked a little nervous up there in Ann Arbor.
No, I think I told you. Well, they were in Indianapolis first of all, so yeah. But
Same thing.
but it really is. It really is. No, I mean, what do you want me to say? Right? We're gonna win by $1 billion. We're gonna win by. I mean,
no, but you think Alabama's winning this game? Don't
no, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
Heart
think
of
no.
hearts.
No, Michigan is, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well,
I don't feel it. I think everyone listening to this podcast right now can just tell that Dylan. It doesn't feel that Dylan believes.
Karter, right before that Michigan-Ohio State game, I could feel it. In Dylan's heart of heart, Dylan was like, we are going to whip this game. We're going to run them. We're going to run them out of town. You can feel it through the screen, through the headphones. I don't know about right now.
It'll change. The game's not for 4 weeks.
What do you mean it'll change? I'm as confident as ever. See, I win trophies. That only thing I do is I win trophies, and I only root for teams that win trophies. So I have no doubt that Michigan can pull this through. I haven't hedged any of my futures. I haven't bet on Alabama to beat Michigan. And I'm not worried that we haven't faced a mobile quarterback yet this year. And Jalen Milroe is probably one of the best at running with the football.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not worried at all. Michigan wins by 1 billion. And all you Alabama fans can shove your associate degrees from your community college up your butt.
That's our entire Instagram comment section right now. There's not a very high cumulative IQ score in that comment section. I'll just say that. They can.
I'll be honest. As a Michigan future holder, I'm nervous. I know Dylan's whole thing.
No, you're not. What are you nervous about? Tell me.
Dylan, hey Dylan, can we have a real conversation?
Yeah.
Who's the best quarterback Michigan played all year?
Best quarterback?
Yeah.
Probably Talia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's good though.
Right.
He's good. I think he's pretty good. I think he's a good quarterback.
I don't disagree, but it's not Milroe.
That's you compared to all the other quarterbacks in the college football playoff. I think
well, since when are we crowning Milroe as the cream of the crop? They're 3 weeks in, he was getting benched.
No. Like the committee said, what have you done for me lately? What are you right now?
Screw that committee. It's kind of ironic. It's kind of ironic that Boo Corrigan, NC State alum, Wolfpack guy. Of course, he's the one that kills the ACC and kills ACC football and costs the conference billions in revenue or millions in revenue. Kind of ironic for all you Wolfpack listeners out there.
That was John Swafford and Jim Phillips.
My mom did say as we were watching the college football selection committee is like how funny it is we're watching people named Booger and Boo make these decisions about the college football playoff.
Yep. The wife didn't know who Booger was, and I said, "Oh, I think Booger's making great points right now." She goes,
"He was going off."
What did you just say? Who's Booger? And I said, "Yep, I understand where you're coming from."
Debbie Yow would not have let this happen. No, I've been on the record. Whatever.
We'll preview these games in 3 weeks. We got NFL to talk about, but real quick, Washington, Texas. That's just an awesome game. That is an awesome game, and I want to make this quick point. I think Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback in this college football playoff.
Oh no! Penix is better.
Yes.
Yeah, Penix is better.
No.
Yeah, Penix is better. Yeah. Well, why? Can you bring something to the table?
If Quinn Ewers plays, I think if Quinn Ewers plays all year, I haven't got the stats department on it. This is eye test. If Quinn Ewers plays all year, I think he's in the Heisman race.
What about those rumors that he's coming back next year and then Arch Manning's going to be hiking it out of town? Well, what do they do with Arch Manning?
No,
I think he goes to BYU.
North Carolina's got an open spot in the portal.
I just saw a report.
Max Johnson took that.
I saw a report that Manning's okay being a backup for another year. That's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Do we like that? I don't know if I like that mentality. I think you want to be the dog and go.
As the number one overall recruit by year 2, you got to be playing. Come on.
I don't know.
Who knows?
He could be a Buckeye.
Maybe he's got to develop.
I'm with you though, Dylan. I think Penix is better than Ewers. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I haven't
Penix.
seen enough.
He's the best.
Maybe he played the whole year. I feel differently, but after that Oregon game, Penix looked good.
McCarthy's better than Ewers.
Have you guys watched the last 2 Texas games?
No, I choose not to watch Big 12 football.
Exactly. That's why. If you haven't watched it, it's unbelievable. That dude is so good. I also think sneaky Texas is sneaky. I don't know if they win it all, but I think they're sneaky the most talented team in this playoff. They have talent on every side of the ball. They are legit, man. Does that mean I think Sark is a dumb coach, but who knows? I don't know if they win it all. I think they might have the best talent on both sides of the ball. Here
on December 4th, real quick, just one word answer. Who wins it in your eyes? This could change in a month. But of the 4 teams left right now, who are you choosing right now?
Who wins it all?
Michigan.
Yeah, who wins it all? For the 4 teams in the playoff right now, December 4th, 2023, what's the choice?
Michigan. I'm standing firm.
Michigan.
Give me Michigan as well.
Yeah, there we go, boys. There we go.
Trust tree.
It only took 46 minutes. We got back full circle.
We're back.
On to the NFL.
Olive
that's
branch.
enough on the college football playoff. I don't think there's much to talk about in this game, but Eagles 42, Eagles 19. sorry, 49ers 42, Eagles 19. There we go. We got that fixed. Dominated. I mean, just dominated. Like, it was just a whooping. Now, the first quarter, you're like, oh, wow. Like, you knew the Niners had it sneaky when the Eagles went up 6-0. I know you're like, that doesn't make sense. That's crazy. When they stopped them twice convincingly in the red zone, you're like, man, the Niners got this. Well, the Niners just get one touchdown, that offense is going to break wide
floodgates.
open. You knew it. You knew the floodgates were coming. It was just a good old butt whooping. I mean, that's what it was. This Niners team, the fact that, a lot of people want to talk about the media darling, the Cowboys and Dak MVP. Oh, you want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles? Oh, they're 10-1. They're this awesome team. They won in the Super Bowl last year, blah, blah, blah. And the Niners beat the Cowboys 42-10, and they beat the Eagles 42-19. This team is for real. This is the best team in football. It's not remotely close, I don't think.
Karter, I love the fact that you will claim that I never felt more confident about X team whenever they go down or the game gets close. Like, it's never when they pull away, oh, I felt confident about this team winning. It's, well, they go down 6-0.
At times I do.
Well, Michigan, you said that you felt confident about them whenever Penn State got it within 6. I think that's a nice little quirk.
Well, no, I was confident before that. I just thought from start to finish in that Michigan-Penn State game, I thought Michigan just dominated throughout. I'm not saying that particular moment.
Okay.
In this game specifically, that particular moment when I'm like, wow, like the Eagles really can't punch it in the red zone with this run game, with the tush push, A.J. Brown in the red zone, and they still can't push it in on 2 tries. This really is telling, and we just saw it. We saw what happened.
Yeah.
The Niners were the better team. I mean, we should all get our flowers because we all called this. It was everybody, all of us were just Niners, Niners, Niners. The line tells you everything you need to know. The Eagles also, the other underrated part about this were the Eagles come into this game a little banged up slightly. Like, I'm not going to get, say there should be an asterisk on this game by any means whatsoever. The Niners won this game outright, no questions asked. But they have to play a tough game at Arrowhead. They got to play an overtime game against Buffalo. They came into this game a little down, which makes sense why it was such a blowout. Now, I think these teams are closer than the score indicates, but the Niners were that much better on Sunday. That's what it was.
Yeah, I want to say at the very beginning of the game, I was nervous because that Philly defense, they were swarming. Those three and outs, I mean, I was very worried about the 49ers offense, but they pulled it out. And I think I give Philadelphia a lot of crap for being lucky, for winning games they have no business winning. To add context to this game, they are coming off of a very tough stretch. The 49ers played on Thanksgiving, so they had a long week to prepare when Philly was just coming off of an overtime win against Buffalo. So, add some context there. I think 49ers was the sharp play. I think if you win that one and you're like, wow, that was like, you take into consideration the rest and stuff. So, with that being said, looking forward to next week. I know we'll do another show previewing. It's all Cowboys. Like, this is just the stretch only gets tougher for Philadelphia, and this is really the end of it. But the Dallas has a long week to prepare. We know what injuries we're getting. I think it's 3.5. But 49ers 5-star. I mean, first half and full game, easiest it could have been.
Karter, I'm with you.
Or anything?
Yeah, I'm with you about the 49ers being the best team in football. Because when they're healthy, those skill players, Purdy's been better. He's damn MVP co-favorite right now. Yeah. He's been better, and that defense has been playing out of their mind. I will say, Dylan, I was going to make that point too. The Eagles defense, those first few drives, they were swarming. They were getting all those little screen passes, the dink and dunks, the reverses. They were on top of all of it. And I was like, oh my God, they've got it figured out. But then when the Eagles were stopped in the red zone, I was like, okay, the floodgates could open it. The Niners can just break through that one time. And the X factor of the whole team is Deebo Samuel. You know what you're getting with CMC. You know, he's going to run hard. He's going to get you 70, 80 rushing yards, 4 or 5 catches. You know what you're getting with Kittle. He can get you, good blocking, a little dink and dunk off the tight end, flat route. He can get you 15 yards. Deebo Samuel, when he's playing like that, breaking tackles, getting in the open field, Ayuk's catching balls, they're borderline unstoppable.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I know we're running kind of long, but I think you see some of the visible physical wear on the Eagles when you saw how many tackles they missed. Like McCaffrey was getting hit, and they took 2 or 3 guys to bring him down. Deebo would catch the ball in the open field, and he would just hit guys, and they wouldn't be able to bring him down. You say, well, Dylan, it was raining. It's a little slippery. Fine, but it was raining last week, and the Eagles really didn't have that same problem. So, which leads me to my next point. Philadelphia fans, do they have God's phone number? Because it just seems like it's always raining in Philadelphia when they have tough teams come in.
That's a fair point. Real quick on this, what was your guys' opinion on Big Dom and Greenlaw getting into it on the sideline?
Couldn't care less.
Dumb.
I think if you're not a player in the
dumb.
game, you can't be doing that. Bottom line.
That's true. That is true. That is very odd. When I was watching it, I truly did think it would be like a momentum shift in the favor of Philadelphia. It didn't end up being that way, but like I watched mostly sports today. I watched all these shows and it was just about Big Dom. I'm like, I don't care about this guy.
Why wouldn't you tell all your staff members to do that? Hey, when they're over on the sideline, one of their best players is over here. Try to rile them up. Try to get him, because then you'll both get ejected. But it's the player's the bigger loss.
Yeah, it's 15 yards the other way. Like, you're not getting penalized for that. Yeah, and the ejection.
I thought that was shady and weird. I can't believe he got tossed. But I just want to bring it up.
The last thing I have on this one, Niners, anytime they have this big game where it's like, okay, let's see who they are, they answer the call. Everyone's like, first 4 weeks, they didn't play anybody good. Steelers, Rams, Giants, Cardinals, those aren't great teams. They got to play the Cowboys. Now we'll see. Sunday Night Football. Murdered them. And yes, they lost those 3 games in a row. No Debo, no Trent Williams. Like, I understand, and they hit that weird stretch. But, like, I think it's more so they just play down to their competition in that spot. When the lights are brightest, they show up. And that's kind of what is really important to me. Anyhow, let's move on. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, the thing that's coming true, Carter, I know you're on this too. Last year, if they would have had a quarterback, I think they win the Super Bowl. And I know it's what ifs, what if this, what if that. But if they would have had a quarterback, they at least make the Super Bowl. And I think they have a good chance of winning if Purdy never goes down. I don't know. Yeah. That's a what if. We can what if all night long, but we're going to see this year.
Yeah, some people say people do what if all night long. Dolphins dominate the Commanders. This is what I wanted to bring up. I don't give a crap about this game. Yeah, they killed them. They look better. Commanders' pass defense is the worst. The Dolphins' passing game is the best. That's what it is. That's just the nature of this game. You knew what it was coming into this game.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, everyone's starting to talk themselves into the Dolphins again. It's this ongoing cycle. Only 3-4 weeks ago, after the Chiefs game in London or in Germany, they're like, Dolphins frauds, and then all of a sudden they beat the Commanders, the Raiders, and the Jets, and all of a sudden it's like, Dolphins are back, Dolphins Super Bowl. Yep. It's like, maybe they are frauds. They can't beat the good teams, because the only good team they've beaten this year is the Broncos. And when they beat the Broncos, that's a totally different team at the first start of that season, start of the season. The other teams they've beaten aren't good teams.
Was it a different team, though, or was that their baseline and the Broncos have been overperforming?
Maybe. But that's what I'm saying. But that's their best win is what I'm saying.
Well, you can't. The thing about people talking themselves into the Dolphins and it being this cycle is you can't resist it. You see them play, you see a 75-yard touchdown or a 60-yard touchdown and a bomb to Tyreek Hill and a bomb to Jalen Waddle and a long run by Mostert. And it's, it's like you have a big meal and you're like, God, I'm stuffed. I could not have anything else to eat right now. And then you see a hot fudge sundae. Yeah, you see a hot fudge sundae in front of you, or you see a McFlurry or something like that. It's like, well, I can talk myself into this because you can't resist because you're watching it. It's just human nature. You love football. It excites you. All of a sudden, you're like, this Dolphins offense can make a run. In reality, I don't know how confident I am in them, but I can't blame people for getting back on the bandwagon.
We get answers to the questions this week. They have their first big test hosting the Tennessee Titans. So we'll get some answers.
That's the funniest part is they're going against the Titans pass defense. It's just going to, reemphasize everyone like the Dolphins, because they're going to cook that Titans pass defense. Yes.
14's too many. 14's too many. That's disrespectful.
Is it 14?
It's 14. That's disrespectful.
Do the Titans have any players left?
Will Levis.
Injury report this, injury report that.
Will Levis play offense and defense. You see him recover that fumble? Force a fumble and recover?
I did.
We'll get our answers the last 3 weeks of the year. They play Cowboys at Ravens, home Bills. If they go 2-1 in those final 3 games, I think they're legit. Yeah. They got to go 2-1 in those games. But I don't know if there's anything really more to add to that. I just wanted to bring that up because I still don't want to buy into them fully. What's going on here? I'm going to quickly run through some other games. Stop me if you want to talk about them, and then we'll get out of here. Colts 31, Titans 28, overtime. Colts somehow keep getting it done. Minshew just keeps winning games. I don't get it. This is crazy. They're fun to watch. They're an overs team. They're an all-time overs team. This is just fantastic football. AFC South overs. Sneaky awesome, Dylan. Sneaky awesome.
I hate to be a part of this division that the overs are hitting so much. I do want to workshop a take.
join the NFC South.
No, don't, please, for your own good.
Be an easy playoff spot. What I want to say, I want to workshop this take, is Tannehill sabotaging the Titans because he was the holder, and what's his name? Folk missed an extra point that would have kept us from going into overtime, and Tannehill was holding it.
Or did someone tell Tannehill, hey, mess up the hold?
Yeah, we need to start working on that.
Anyhow, the crazy thing about the Colts is they have Anthony Richardson just sitting on the back burner, and next he gets a whole year to process, be around NFL culture, around the team, around a winning team rather, and he looked awesome in his few games, so he's going to be very confident going into next year. They're just in an awesome situation.
Yep.
Titans, I think it's great you guys keep losing games. This is perfect for you. You guys need to get a nice offensive weapon for Will Levis and then use the rest of your draft to get secondary and offensive linemen.
You know, I might sound like a homer here, but the Colts getting Josh Downs as late as they did, steal. He's a stud, and I wish the Panthers would have gotten him instead of Jonathan Mingo. I'll just say that.
Chargers 6, Patriots 0. The Patriots need to be investigated for tanking. This is ridiculous. I just don't understand how Brandon Staley keeps going. Like, if there was ever a time to fire a coach after a win, it was today, or it was yesterday on Sunday, because it was so bad because, like, okay, at least if you win these games, at least look impressive and fun. Yeah. They looked horrendous, and like they were trying to lose that game and still won the game 6-0. Awful. Belichick needs to be investigated for tanking. This is a worse tank job than the Spurs with Wemby last year. Disgusting stuff. I don't want to speak another word about that game, so let's move on. Lions 33, Saints 28. Lions get the win, which is what matters in the end, I guess. But that defense is just going to kill them in the playoffs. It's you're giving up 28 to Derek Carr. Something's wrong.
And Taysom Hill.
And Jameis Winston.
Yeah, and Jameis Winston.
Monster.
Maybe. Yeah, they had to fight the Holy Trinity.
I'm not quite going to go F words for the Lions yet, but they are on F word watch.
I mean, that defense is just tough. I mean, I think they're like an upgraded version of the Seahawks.
Well, they're the team you want to play. If you're talking top 3 seeds in the playoffs and you get it's either Niners or Eagles or Lions, there's going to be some finagling around in the standings to try to play the Lions because they're beatable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think because the thing is, I think that 5 seed in the NFC is unattainable. I think the loser of Dallas and Philly are going to get that. I mean, I think Philly gets it because their last 3 are a joke, but whoever gets that 5 seed's like, sweet, I get the Falcons. Going to win one game in Atlanta against Desmond Ridder in the playoffs. Speaking of Desmond Ridder, Falcons 13, Jets 8. Butt cheeks. That was awful. It's so crazy. And once again, I think Arthur Smith should be fired. There's so many weapons on this team. This team is so good outside of Desmond Ridder, and they're just so bad. And you win, you beat Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian. Hoorah.
It's so frustrating. That's one of those games we mention all the time. No matter what the total is, just take the under. If it feels like it's not going to get over 20 points, just bet it.
I teased the over and it hit.
What, over 15?
That's insane.
20.5. It was terrifying.
That is awful.
Teasing total.
It made my eyes bleed. I didn't see a lot of that on Red Zone. I did take Tim Boyle under pass yards.
5-unit winner.
Yeah.
5-unit winner. I don't want to hear
I can't argue with the results. Unless you're Florida State.
The other thing is Zach Wilson comes out and he's like, and they were like, "Hey Zach, we want you to play again." And Zach's like, "Nah, I'm all right." Can you blame the guy? It's an impossible spot. I mean, that's terrible.
No, they already
leave the team.
They already said they're moving on from him. You can't go back and say, "Actually, can you please come back? Hold the boombox over your shoulder and throw rocks at his window. Give me a break."
You guys have invested in stocks before, right? You know, you check your little app and you're like, "Ooh, went up like 0.02% today." That's kind of how my Zach Wilson stock was. Seeing the Jets yesterday, you're like, "Hey, you know what? We're back up a little bit. Maybe we're on the rise," because it was a little bit of a positive for Zach. We're like, "Oh yeah, it is an impossible."
Does that boost him up the dog rankings, declining a starting position?
Oh, I think that kind of has to.
I think that might put him up there.
I mean, he's already in GOAT conversation. Some are saying. Cardinals 24, Steelers 10. Stupid, weird game with the delays and the rain and all that crap. Mitch Trubisky has slowly become the worst backup in the NFL.
Well, he's starting Thursday, so everybody get your popcorn out because it's him versus the Patriots.
Can we just parlay? I think our podcast parlay this week is we just parlay the Patriots defense and the Steelers defense getting touchdowns.
Ooh.
Yeah. I like that.
I like that. I like
I
that.
might place that anyways.
This is a disgusting parlay. Panthers 18, Bucks 21. Once again, yuck, 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 yuck. Gross game. Bryce Young, look, he didn't make the big throw. He should have had 6 there with DJ Chark right there. That doesn't really matter as much. He panicked on that interception. Little concerning game from Bryce Young. Not totally his fault. Other things there, but he should have made the throws necessary. But I'm blaming him. I'm criticizing him right
you
now.
criticize him. Oh, but of course it's not his fault. Not necessarily his fault, but
Not entirely.
Not entirely his
Oh,
fault.
well.
It's his fault.
Will Levis should have thrown these picks, but he was aggressive and threw this nice play to DeAndre Hopkins, so it's okay.
I never said anything about him. He should have been throwing picks. That's you guys.
Last week there was
No, you said, oh, well, he should have had 3 interceptions. I'm like, shoulda? What are we talking about? Is there a shoulda category that I'm missing on the box score? I said on the live stream today,
there should be a shoulda category.
Yeah.
And you're scrolling like the score app, and you're like, the shoulda. Dang, dude, we almost had that.
I don't know how the Nerd Brigade would react to that. But
Yeah, the nerd oh my god,
The Nerd Brigade.
Community. Could you imagine like NBA Twitter if they got, or like MLB Twitter if they got the shoulda, woulda, coulda category?
oh my
Like,
gosh.
oh my gosh, they're the unluckiest team in baseball.
Yeah, just steam coming out of their ears. It's like,
They're like, no, the Oakland A's are good.
I swear the Raptors will be good this year with all that length.
Browns 19, Rams 36. Joe Flacco, kind of fun. I had fun watching Joe Flacco. Like it was, he threw a pretty ball. That was about
Stafford
it.
rolling the clock back. Last 2 games, 7 touchdowns.
Hey, Puka Nakua. Great game. He looked awesome.
He did.
He looked awesome.
He did.
But yeah, no, that's kind of all I had. Like Rams put themselves in a playoff spot now. That
Yep.
was a huge win. I feel the same about the Steelers and Browns where yes, do they deserve to be in the playoffs? Yes, but they're kind of the same as Florida State where I'm like, do I want to watch them in the playoffs? Probably not.
If you're the NFL, just say they're not as good and keep them out of the playoffs. And we can throw the Bills in there. We can put Aaron Rodgers and the Jets back in there because there's no rules. There's no rules about records or resumes or anything. Let's just screw it. Screw the Steelers. They don't look fun. Keep them out of the playoffs.
Could the Browns beat Chattanooga? I don't think so. Chiefs 19, Packers 27. Our Jordan Love stock is just through the roof. I mean, it is at an all-time high. We need to have a discussion. Are we selling?
No.
I'm staying firm.
Diamond hands.
He is on fire. He looked phenomenal. He looked so calm and poised. Every time it was a dumb 4th down, you're like, oh my gosh, here we go. The Chiefs are going to get it. Jordan Love makes the big play. Love makes the big throw. It was an insanely impressive result.
You're talking about selling Jordan Love stock when he has the Giants, Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, Bears to finish out the season? I'm buying more. I'm gobbling up all I can. Give me more.
Well, I already did. You saw my preseason clip. You saw it. I said, give me all the Jordan Love stock money can buy. I went all in on him. And guess what? It's finally paying dividends.
Hold
that
on a
last
second.
touchdown to Watson was insane. That was such a good
incredible.
throw. Such a good throw.
And then the throw before that, the Dobbs on that 4th down, falling back, pressure in his face. That was incredible. We got Dylan here. If you're listening on Spotify, who knows if this will get kept in? I might just
No, don't.
to the point.
No, this is natural. Yeah.
All right, we'll see. Oh no, we got rookie cards out. There we go. Nice little Jordan Love rookie card for the people.
That's called that's called a color match because the color of the card is the same as his jersey.
Oh, that's big.
Oh,
that's big in the card.
Here's a big one.
Kelly Olynyk. Wait, or is that a WNBA player?
I'll give the people one more. Hold on. These would sell for
Megan Rapinoe. That's so good.
Osama bin Laden rookie card.
I knew Dylan was a giant Megan Rapinoe fan.
This card would go for about $30 his rookie year. I mean, it would sell for $30, and now you could probably give them away at the local card shop. Okay, that's all I got. Whoa.
If anybody wants to,
Oh, nice.
do it, yeah. If anybody wants to barter,
those are old.
you should open a PO box for all our fans to barter trading cards.
I should, right? We go a bartering system like I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'll give you a cow for 30 drachmae. I'll give you a Tua rookie card.
All right, that's it. Follow us on social media at CarterCast on everything. CarterCast on YouTube, CarterCast.com. You saw Connor's blog today. If you're listening, it was yesterday, so you saw it on social media. At CarterBA, at Connor_Sparrow, at Wilkerson A. Dillon. We'll be back Wednesday night, early Thursday morning for the preview show. We'll be back. It's going to be all NFL. No more college football talk. There you go. Little Justin Herbert.
Sell that one.
For us. Get that out of here. Anyhow, that's it from us. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.